caused great damage to town roads, and repairing them will take big money. Should those who want dirt roads pay for them through a special district?
Supervisor Shen.
No, I don't think a district tax is the way to go. Hurricane Irene is an entirely different subject. When Hurricane Irene occurred, the first thing I did was reach out to our elected senator, Senator Schumer. He brought the regional director for FEMA here. We're going to get refunded for the damage from Hurricane Irene. I was at a kickoff meeting over in Carmel this morning for the PA, the public assistance portion of the Hurricane Irene. So we're going to get that money back. We get 75% back from the federal government. There's also 12.5% that will come back from New York State. That'll leave 12.5% for us to pick up, but there are also other opportunities from New York State to get funding. But a special district tax, it isn't done. I haven't seen it done anywhere. We've called around. Bedford has a lot of dirt roads. We don't see it anywhere. I don't think we're going to tax people because because they live on a dirt road. But again, it's not a black and white issue what we do with the dirt roads, but we will get refunded because of the damage that was caused by FEMA.
Mr. Erickson, could you give us your view?
Can you repeat the question, please, for me?
Hurricane Irene caused great damage to town roads. Repairing them will take big money. Should those who want dirt roads pay for them through a special district?
No, I don't believe they should. I believe that the dirt roads, though, the steep slope sections of our dirt roads do need to be paved. They need to be addressed by Roger Cherico, who knows where they are. We have very poor drainage on those steep slope sections. They destroy private property. There's a lot of wasted money, not just with the Hurricane Irene, but every time it rains, we're throwing tax dollars right out the window. Proper drainage to protect the wetlands, the streams, and private property are key to this, and the highway superintendent knows that. I also believe that we need to enact some speed limits on the dirt roads. I grew up on dirt roads. I played there as a kid. You know, nowadays, cars speed down these roads. It's a danger. I won't even let my kids go up on the roads to ride bicycles now. Seasonal speed bumps or something I think that we should put out on these dirt roads. I believe but paving the steep slopes is the biggest issue, and it needs to be addressed immediately.
Thank you. Rebuttal?
I think we agree that there are problem sections of the roads, and where there are chronic year in and year out problems, those do need to be addressed. There are going to be some areas that see pavement. It's not just about pavement, though. It is about infrastructure as far as drainage. It's about drainage basin studies. It's about engineering. And it is about public input. It's funny that my opponent says we neglected the public will, but here they'll defer to the highway superintendent solely. We do need public input. People live on these roads, they pay taxes, and I think it's, again, an opportunity to get public input. So we'll take that opportunity. We'll have a discussion. It's not going to be a long-term discussion, but we will get people involved, and we will solve the problems on the dirt roads. But again, it's not just a black and white issue regarding dirt roads.
Thank you. Mr. Erickson?
I agree. Public input is good. We always need it. We want your ideas. I would like your input. But I'm not going to allow special interest groups to dictate how we do these dirt roads. They need to be paved in order to save that money so we can place it elsewhere, such as in a field study or preserving our fields or making upgrades elsewhere in town.
Thank you. Our next question will be from Lois Powers.
Considering the controversy the Grainer report has since sparked, and considering the long-term financial implications, do you see any way to salvage something good out of this process, or should we start over?
Mr. Erickson, would you begin? Considering the controversy the Grainer report has since sparked, and considering the long-term financial implications, do you see any way to salvage something good out of this process? Should we start over?
I don't believe we need to start over. I think there are a few good points that came out of that study, and I believe they're being implemented now. But I do believe it alienated our volunteers and pretty much slapped them in the face. There was a clear lack of leadership on this. That study should have been halted. I believe that study should have been thrown out, and I don't even know if Mr. Grainer should have been paid for this study because it was incomplete. The grant money is still tax dollars, and it was wasted on an incomplete study. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Shea?
I think the first thing that we do need to remember is that these are volunteers, and they do deserve a lot of credit for that. And we have nothing but respect for our volunteers. They're great people. 3 o'clock in the morning, that, whistle goes off, they're the ones getting up, it's not us. So we do need to respect that. We do need to make sure that the $2.1 million is spent to the best effect. The Grainer report, we're not even calling that the Grainer report, that's our report now. What we do with that report is our business. There are some valuable things in that report. We didn't get great cooperation, but the one thing it did was unified all the emergency services and got them talking with each other. We had a meeting with 100 emergency service providers down at the Capuchins, and I think it was a worthwhile evening. Ron Grainer, he's got a tone that I don't agree with. I would say that. He was really combative in his tone. I don't think that was helpful, but that being said, we do need to look where $2.1 million a year is being spent and make sure that our volunteers are safe, that they're getting the things they need as far as providing the core mission, and also that the taxpayer are getting the value that they deserve. So it's another one of these complicated issues that can't be throw it out, get rid of it. I don't think we need to start over again. I think there's some valuable things in there. And I think as far as leadership, the person who showed a lot of leadership was Councilman Montgomery and Councilman Van Tassel for taking this on. That's a tough issue. They know it's the third rail, but they went there. And I have a lot of respect for them for that.
I agree with that. Mr. Van Tassel and Councilwoman Montgomery did a good job with putting themselves in the line of fire for that study. But it still remains that that study couldn't have been worse even by design. What should have happened was representatives from the fire company should have come in. They should have sat down with the interview process. We should have had more than one company there to interview, and they should have agreed on who they picked for that study that did go forward with this, so we were all in agreement. That way you had a unification of all the departments and what the end goal was. If you look at Mr. Grainer's studies, they all end in consolidation. And if that wasn't the goal of this, then I don't know what was. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Ann Chestnut. I would note at the beginning that we have separate versions of this question for Supervisor Shea and Mr. Erickson. We will ask each of you the question, get the answer, and then we'll have rebuttals from each of you. Ann?
Mr. Shea, in letters and advertisements, your campaign said that Lee Erickson was, quote, hiding, unquote, from debating the issues with you. Do you believe he is afraid to debate the issues, and that's one of the reasons why he shouldn't be town supervisor?
Well, I can't say whether Lee was afraid or not. We wanted to debate. We threw that offer out there. There were multiple offers besides the Phillipstown.info forum that was held. The League of Women Voters offered to hold one. He declined to attend that. The Chamber of Commerce offered to hold one. Declined to attend that. We're finally together tonight, and that's a good thing. But I'm not sure whether it was Lee himself or his handlers that were telling him he shouldn't go to these events. I think it's important for the democratic process to be able to compare and contrast the two candidates for the job of supervisor. I'm running on a record of accomplishments. I'm running on a record that stands for itself. Years of work leading up to becoming supervisor, 8 years of serving under Bill Mazuka and watching how a real leader acts, how to run a meeting, how to fashion a budget, how to deal with the problems that come every day to this town. So, I don't want to resort to name calling, afraid, whatever. It's just that his lack of participation in the Phillipstown.info forum and the reluctance or the outright refusal to participate in any of the other forums, that says a lot. I mean, how are you going to stand up, on important issues? How are you going to defend your position when you can't come out and defend it publicly in a debate?
We have a related question from Mr. Erickson, again from Ann.
Mr. Erickson, you declined to take part in one scheduled forum, and Mr. Shea even said you were hiding from him on the issues. Are you afraid? And if not, tell us why you're running and why he should no longer be supervisor.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm here tonight. I didn't participate in that forum because I didn't believe a moderator can be player, coach, and referee, and I didn't believe it was a constructive venue.
Audience, please, let's let him answer.
Excuse me. That night, instead, I attended an economic summit in the county where I believe Supervisor Shea might have been. It was a forum where the State Economic Council came down, all the planning boards, zoning boards from all the other towns in the county got together to discuss economic growth. And I think that's something that we need to do here in town. Thank you.
We'll now have 45 seconds of rebuttal from each candidate, beginning with Supervisor Shea.
Well, I've attended about every forum, about every class there has been in this county. By the time I finished my term, I attended 120 straight town board meetings. 10 years, never missed a meeting. So as far as attending another forum, I thought it was more important to get my message out to the public. As far as this calling player coach thing, look, I don't know where that's coming from. That's ridiculous. What we had was a forum where the questions were out publicly 2 weeks prior to the forum. So as far as it being biased, I just don't see that. You have the questions, you formulate your answers, and you show up. If you're going to lead, it requires showing up and standing up for what you believe.
Mr. Erickson?
Spoken like a career politician. Most people in the county don't even know his name because people over there were asking me that when I was there. Well, where's Supervisor Shea? Who is he? I don't believe he's attended enough county functions over there, and we have to work with the county to develop smart economic growth in this town. We need that for our future.
Thank you. Catherine Garnsey with our next question.
Member